When God called us to Las Vegas, He didn't call us to just start a church. He called us to partner with Him in a move of God. A move that is passionate to see Sin City transformed into Grace City. A movement that is passionate to show a generation of young adults that God is big, and the God of the Bible is still the God of today, and God can still do miracles. Our passion is to do hard things in tough places so that God gets all of the glory. As we live out this passion, we have four primary pursuits. We live to love God with all of our hearts. We live to love our neighbors as ourselves. We've laid down our lives to make disciples who make disciples. And we do it all in community as we love one another. As we reach upward to God, our primary aspect of this is a prayer movement. We're a house of prayer for all nations. We meet daily in word-fed, spirit-led, worship-based prayer as we experience the manifest presence of God and as God changes us to change this city. There's never been a revival that started without prayer. We not only live upward lives by loving God, but we live outward lives as we love our neighbor. We take the intimacy and the presence of God that we experience in our prayer movement, and we allow God to not only work in us and for us, but we allow God to work through us. The prayer movement turns into a missional movement, a hands-on ministry movement. Our strategy is very simple. We start at the bottom. We start with elementary kids in public schools where we have Bible clubs for them. Also, we reach into the public middle schools, high schools. We have a ministry on the campus of UNLV, which is one of the largest, most secular universities in the Western states. We're seeing God use us as we go into the parks and we do daily ministry, feeding and clothing and praying with the homeless, the addicted, the broken, people that have been crushed by life. We've seen God radically transform people who have been caught in addiction, prostitution, lives of depression, cycles of poverty. Our passion is to see God move in such a way in this city that we see 100,000 people swept into the kingdom of God, radically transformed by the power of God in the next few years. We're not only commanded to love God, to live upward, we're not only commanded to live outward by loving our neighbor, but the Great Commission is to live forward by making disciples who make disciples. If you study history, you'll find that there were many revivals, moves of God that burned out within just a few years. We want to see God not only sustaining this movement, this revival, but we want to see God multiplying it all over the nation, all over the city, all over the world. The way that happens for us is primarily through our School of Ministry. Here we give people opportunities to come and spend a week with us in ministry and mission, or a semester, or a summer, or a year, or several years, or to get more in-depth Bible training, or the practical skills of how do you plant a church in an urban setting. What God's doing here is so special. We don't want it to stop or end. We want it to continue to multiply, to expand, and to change history. Jesus said the new commandment is love one another. He said all men will know that you're my disciples if you love one another. The mark of a true movement of God is it happens, the intimacy with God, the ministry for God, the disciple making with God all happens in a community where we love one another, where it's a family. We couldn't do this on our own. We know that we not only need God, but we need each other. Everything we do is centered around Grace City Church. We are a church-based, church-planting, church-multiplying movement. Jesus promised to build the church. We work hard at being the church that Jesus can be pleased with. This is one of the most special, significant, and strategic times in history. We are living in a defining moment. Las Vegas is one of the most special, significant, and strategic cities in all the world. What happens in Las Vegas is spread all over the world. God has started a movement. God is starting a revival in Las Vegas. We are seeing God moving as He's transforming Sin City into Grace City. Is God calling you to join the Grace City?